Welcome back, Gearhead Lounge, to Cult Classic Car Flicks. Now, usually a cult classic is a pretty bad movie with few redeeming qualities, but today's movie that we're looking at is actually a pretty good one. So holding a Rotten Tomatoes score of 43%, we're diving into the high-octane world of the 1974 cult classic Gone in 60 Seconds. This is the original, not the campy Nicolas Cage remake. This one is all about raw, real car chases, insane stunts, and a passion for automobiles. Buckle up, because we're about to break down this adrenaline-fueled ride with spoilers ahead. Gone in 60 Seconds follows insurance investor turned car thief Mandrian Pace, played by the film's writer, producer, director, and stunt driver, H.B. Halicki. Pace and his team specialize in stealing high-end cars for resale with one hitch. All vehicles stolen must be insured. As they concentrate on single cars here and there, a huge deal drops into Pace's lap. A South American drug lord offers Pace and his team $200,000 up front with an additional $200,000 upon completion of delivery, in exchange for 48 specific vehicles that are to be delivered to Long Beach docks within 5 days. To help keep track of everything, the team scouts out all of the needed vehicles and gives them all feminine code names. The vehicles range from run-of-the-mill to exotic to one-of-a-kind. They're bagging semi-trailer trucks, Corvettes, Ferraris, Cadillac limos, a Maserati, just to name a few. They even swipe Parnelli Jones' custom-built 1966 Bronco Big Ole. The crown jewel of the heist is a 1973 Mustang codenamed Eleanor. This one proves to be the most elusive because each time they find one to steal, they either have to give it back or abort the mission. One particular vehicle stolen was a white Cadillac Eldorado. But when they start going through the car, they find that it's full of heroin. Just as they make their discovery, one of their detective acquaintances stops by and they're almost caught. Pace decides to dump the car, but his brother-in-law, Eugene, thinks it's a good idea to sell the drugs for profit. Well, Pace comes to the conclusion that while he may be a car thief, he's not a drug-dealing car thief. He takes the caddy from under Eugene's nose and burns it, much to Eugene's displeasure. So much so that he gives the police an anonymous tip as to where Pace will show up to steal the final car, the Mustang. That phone call turns everything utterly sideways, and Pace finds himself in the middle of one of the longest and most intense car chases ever filmed. It lasts for 40 minutes and turns the city into a complete dumpster fire as Pace tries to ditch the police driving down Ocean Boulevard, through a park, on a sidewalk, through a dealership, all the way from Long Beach to Carson. The chase is a compilation of pure tire-screeching, metal-crunching chaos through the streets of Southern California. They destroy a mind-bending 93 cars in the sequence, and it culminates in a jump that's completely insane. The chase ends up at a car wash where Pace finds yet another Mustang to where he swaps cars and drives off in the sunset. Before we get into Eleanor, let's talk about the sheer numbers of special vehicles we see throughout the movie. First, here's a list of all 48 cars stolen. Now, to be honest, there are really too many cool cars in this movie to talk about and keep this video a reasonable length. But some of the more notable cars on this list were Maryland, a 1970 De Tomaso Mangusta; Christie, this super trick-looking 1971 Chevy Vega that has to be a V8 swap. Maybe it's a Baldwin Motion Super Vega, but it doesn't have that iconic two-tone paint job, so I'm not really sure. But it looks really cool. There's also a Maxine, a 1969 Pantera; Tracy, a 67 Lamborghini Miura; and Susan, a 1972 Plymouth Barracuda. Of the cars not on the list, We see a 1973 or 74 Dodge Challenger that sadly gets crunched, an AMC AMX, a 67 Camaro, a Plymouth Satellite that gets trashed by a trash truck, a 66 Mustang towing a boat, in every cool Viceroy Indy car in Parnelli Jones' shop. I have to stop right here because this video could easily be an hour long talking about all of the hidden gems in this movie. You just have to watch it for yourself and just pause and pause and pause. Let's get to the hero of the movie, Eleanor. Now in the movie, Eleanor is a 1973 Mustang. Now, a lot of people on the interwebs will say it's a Mach 1, but I never saw any scene where they referred to it as such. What it is a 1971 sport roof with a 1973 front grille, painted school bus yellow with black trim on the hood, rocker panel, and the entire rear panel. Now, the paint scheme is closest to the 1972 Mustang Sprint. I mean, not exactly, but it's close. I mean, not the colors, but just the theme. Now, for the movie, Halicki acquired two 1971 Mustang sport roofs, one to be outfitted as a stunt car, and the other to represent all of the other Mustangs Pace couldn't steal. The only way to tell the difference between the two cars in the movie is that the stunt car wore Goodyear white leather tires, while the other Mustang had white walls. The Chase Mustang wasn't your ordinary Mustang. It was beefed up significantly to remain running throughout the entire chase. And remember, this was a low-budget film, so they couldn't afford to break cars. They outfitted this Mustang with a NASCAR-style roll cage, Simpson shoulder harness, a steel skid plate under the car, dual hand brakes to control each rear wheel, deadbolt door locks, electrical kill switches, and a 24-volt electrical system. And I'm sure that they made some modifications to the engine as well, but they'd never list that. Now, all of these other modifications were there to protect the driver, H.B. Halicki, and to keep the car running throughout the chase. All of that extra beefing up was definitely worth it because during filming, there's a part where the Mustang gets rear-ended and spins out and takes out a light pole, which wasn't supposed to happen. The crash knocked Halicki unconscious, but thanks to all the safety equipment, he wasn't hurt, and the car, no worse for the wear, kept running. The last big item that they used the car for was the jump that ended the chase. Now, there was a wreck that was part of the plot that blocked the entire road, which was the way the chase was going. And as the movie portrays it, Pace couldn't stop in time and ends up jumping over the wreck using a conveniently placed GTO hood of all things. Now, through it all, the Mustang survived and still survives today. It's currently owned, at least the last I checked, it's currently owned by Halicki's widow, and you can catch it every now and then in a local museum. The whereabouts of the second Mustang, we don't know. Halicki said that even though it wasn't wrecked or anything, it was crushed, but we don't have any record of that, so the best we can guess is that it was crushed. Now, what makes this film so unforgettable is, of course, the chase scene. Now, calling it a mere chase scene is really an injustice. Any better chase scene would have been the one from Bullitt, but still, that's a difficult comparison due to the nature of them both. The Bullitt chase scene is pure, no dialogue, no music, just listening to the engine and shifting of gears. It's the standard all other chase scenes are measured against. But the chase scene from Gone in 60 Seconds is pure mayhem, and it's pure fun to watch too. Honestly, even though I've seen this chase, 100 times, I still find myself on the edge of my seat watching it. Now, there are a couple of times that it looked like the police had him boxed in, but he escaped every time. Go figure, right? Now, there's also something to be said about the sheer number of police cars in this pursuit. I mean, and all chasing him at high speed. It reminds me of the Blues Brothers chase scene where they have pretty much all of Chicago PD after them. The Gone in 60 Seconds chase scene is intense, very fast paced, and off the rails insane for the entire 40 minutes. The good? The authenticity. This isn't Hollywood CGI. The stunts are real, the crashes are real, and you can feel the danger in every frame. The fact that most of the film sequences were performed on open streets without permits even adds to the intensity. Number 2, it's a legendary car chase. The final 40-minute chase sequence is one of the greatest ever put to film, featuring dozens of wrecked cars and pure driving skill. It is a true display of raw mechanical mayhem. H.B. Halicki's dedication. Halicki wrote, directed, produced, and starred in the film, and did stunt driving in the film, risking his life for the stunts that wouldn't even be allowed today. His passion for cars and high-speed action bleeds through every scene. Grassroots filmmaking. This movie wasn't backed by a major studio. It was an independent production that shows what was possible with ingenuity, determination, and a love for cars. Now, the bad, if you can even consider these points bad. Minimal plot and character development. I mean, the story is thin, and most of the characters are there just to move things along. But let's be honest, we all know why we're watching this movie, and it's not for the acting. The story's only the setup for what we really came for, and that's the chase. It has a low-budget feel. Now, while the rawness adds to the charm, some scenes feel rough with awkward editing, continuity errors, and poor audio, which sometimes makes it difficult to follow the conversations. But again, is that really a bad point? Because we're not really here to listen to them talk. It also has a lack of a musical score. Unlike modern action films that use music to heighten the tension, Gone in 60 Seconds relies almost entirely on the sound of the roaring engines, police sirens, the radio chatter, and the screeching tires. Again, not really a bad thing here. Even with this low-budget production, Gone in 60 Seconds has left an undeniable mark on car culture and action filmmaking. The film's influence can be seen in modern classics like the Fast and Furious franchise, Ronin, and even the 2000 remake starring Nicolas Cage. The original Eleanor Mustang became one of the most iconic movie cars of all time, and I'm glad the car scene isn't littered with overpriced replicas of this car like we have from the remake. I mean, no offense to the 2000 movie, but come on. Despite its rough edges, the film's dedication to real car action and practical stunts still resonates with our inner gearheads. It's a reminder that sometimes passion and practicality can create something truly legendary. Is Gone in 60 Seconds a cinematic masterpiece? Maybe not in the traditional sense, but is it a must-watch for car enthusiasts and action lovers? Absolutely. It's a true grassroots indie film that delivers some of the most thrilling car chases ever filmed. If you love practical stunts, high-speed chases, and a genuine love for cars, this is a movie you want to see. While some may knock the minimal story development, I love it because we didn't get to move on to the chase. So what did you think about Gone in 60 Seconds? Does it still hold up today? What was your favorite car that you saw throughout the movie or throughout the chase scene? Let me know in the comment section. That's going to be it for this review. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you want to binge some good automotive content. And stay on the lookout for another installment of Cult Classic Car Flicks. Thanks for watching. Take care.